Howdy. Today we're doing a video on Gyre. Gyre is a frame that I don't see people play much anymore. I think people thought she was great when she came out. She got some immediate nerfs. She got an augment that sort of undid some of that. And then people forgot about her. You don't see her much anymore. She's really fun. She's very aesthetically pleasing. And she's also crazy, crazy strong. So we're going to do a quick video showing her off. Now, I don't have anything extremely unique when it comes to her. I have the typical pillage. People usually run pillage or terrify. I suppose this is more or less just to show, just to spread more, hey, Gyre's great still. And show a couple weapons that go nicely with her. Here, I'm actually going to switch my loadouts to here. So Gyre, this is not going to be a low investment video. Just a heads up. This is going to be very high investment. I try not to have too much, like I usually say you don't need the Archon shards unless they're like absolutely necessary. And I try to take expensive mods off in most of my builds and videos, but that is not going to be the case in today's video. So Gyre, she is very, very, very strong. We were going to quickly, I'm not going to thoroughly explain her abilities because I think there's videos that do so better, such as like Asian Invasion. He's got a good video, his initial thoughts video when she first came out. Not all the information is up to date, I don't think, because he doesn't talk about her augment. It wasn't a thing at that time, and stuff may have changed due to different patches, but it is a good video to get a general idea of how her abilities work. So we're just going to quickly go over it. Her passive lets her deal critical hits with her abilities. For every electric proc that's on an enemy, you have a 10% chance to deal critical hit, and your crit damage at base is at 2.0. It does have a cap of 300%, so you cannot deal higher than red crits. That's as high as it goes, but that's still going to be pretty insane damage. Arc Sphere, it has a hard cap of 3. You can only have 3 of these out at once. You throw it, and it does a little explosion. For if you hit enough enemies, right? What is it? Yeah, hit multiple enemies at once with the initial launch to enhance damage. So you deal significantly more damage if you hit multiple enemies with the initial explosion. You can have 3 at once, like I said. It has a duration. It damages enemies. It does actually very good damage. Assuming enemies are armor stripped, it does really good damage. You can stack multiple on top of each other, though it does not have consistent electric procs, which is unfortunate. Then you have her 2, which actually I have to switch my build. I forgot I got rid of her 2 on this build. Coil Horizon. You throw out this weird ball. It's like a beach ball. It has some very strange physics. Like it's literally throwing out a freaking beach ball. Okay, quite strange. But you throw it out. It detonates manually if you press the ability again, or automatically after a certain time period, like 2.5 seconds, I think. So it pulls enemies in. It does have guaranteed electric procs, and it ragdolls them. Ragdolling is important because when you ragdoll enemies and there's a bunch like grouped up together, all of their body parts count as individual parts for electricity to chain between. So that's nice. And overall, it's pretty good. It does cost double the energy of your first. It's very similar to your first, which is a bit of confusing. I don't know why they made them so similar. Like this one is just a big version that sucks enemies in when you throw it. I think it's better to get rid of her first in most situations for her helmet, but if you prefer to have a cheaper ability and have more damage rather than grouping as well as consistent electric procs, your first ability is actually still quite strong, I believe. Then you have her third, Cathode Grace. This basically puts you in like a trance where you get energy per second and crit chance. That crit chance is additive to mods on your weapons. It applies to all of your weapons, and it is also works. It is a flat crit chance to your abilities. So with how much strength I have, 164, that's 164 additive crit chance to mods like Point Strike on my weapons, but 164% flat crit chance to my abilities. So with this, it's a lot easier to hit the cap of 300% crit chance for your abilities. It won't take as many electric procs on enemies. Now, it does increase the duration of this with every kill. And the base duration is only 8 seconds. It's affected by duration, obviously. It has a 60-second cooldown, so you don't want to activate it, screw up, not get kills, and it run out, because then you're going to have to wait for it to come back. Then you have her 4, Rotor Swell. Rotor's Well makes it so you have your weird dress on Gyre starts bubbling up. It floats up around you, as you can see in that little video it shows, and you start electrocuting enemies nearby you. You shoot big discharges out, and when Gyre gets a critical hit, a large electrical discharge will chain from the enemy that was hit to nearby enemies. That does have a cap of 2 times per second, or I think it's 2 per second or 2 per half a second, something like that. So it does have a cap, but it does quite good damage. It's very strong. Now this on its own has okay duration, has a horribly long cast time. So does her 3, but that's not a big deal since you should only be casting it once. But you are going to want to keep her 4 active at all times. That won't be difficult though with the augment that I'm going to show. So that's just a quick overview. I'll talk about the Archon shards in just a moment. So this is my Void Cascade build, but this is the main build I use for everything else. I'll be showing this. Brief Respite, catalyzing shields so that we can get our shields back every time we cast Pillage, or Coil Horizon, just casting will give our shields back, and in Pillage's case, casting gives them back, and when the pulse returns, we also get them back for a lot of survivability. The Augment, Cathode Currents, eliminating an enemy while Cathode Grace is active will release an additional discharge from Rotor's Well with 200% damage and extends duration by the same amount. Basically, the killing to extend the ability on your 3rd will now also affect your 4, and it triples the damage for the discharge on your Rotor's Well. Very, very strong. If you're playing Gyre without this augment, you're not playing Gyre right, which is unfortunate. I think this just should have been part of her base kit, and this should be a different augment, but it is what it is. Prime Continuity for duration. Now, duration is nice on her 4 and 3 to help keep it up, but if you're getting enough kills, you don't need it, so 128 is just fine. Transient Fortitude, Blind Rage, and Augur Secrets all at once for as much strength as we can get, because we want to full strip on Pillage, which takes 400% strength if we don't have corrosive... what is it? How did I forget what it's called? Oh, Corrosive Projection. And we don't, because we won't have Brief Respite here. So we have, like I said, Blind Rage, Transient, Augur Secrets, and 2 Tau Forge shards for strength. And then Molt's Augmented, so that it builds up to 400% over time, because we get 60% from this. You don't need 2 of these shards, only 1 I believe, but it just makes it more comfy for 2, and I need 2 for my other build to work, which I'll show in a second. Energize, so we don't run out of energy. We have, oh yeah, we also have 2 Tau Forged Archon shards, blue, for energy max, so we don't need primed flow, because energy or mod slots are very important on this build. And 1 for casting speed. This isn't necessary, but it is very nice. So Archon Stretch, because we want more range. The more range you have, the more you'll be able to kill. And you can go more range than this if you wanted, but I don't think it's totally necessary. Archon Stretch is nice because you are doing electricity procs on all of the hits from your 4, so you get extra energy per second. Umbral Intensify as well for more strength. Prime Sure-Footed, not necessary. Like I always say, you can just run normal Sure-Footed, but in this case, I'm going all in on investment, so fuck it, Prime Sure-Footed. So if you were to use this build and you wanted to do Void Cascade, I took this to around 70 Exolizers on Void Cascade, so not that far. I think they were like level 2, 3000. And it did very, very well until I ran out of energy. Or sorry, not energy, until my abilities ran out. If you go long periods without kills and your 3 and 4 run out, they bottom out, and then like say you run out of energy, you are screwed. Like getting everything going again is near impossible to do while also keeping up with the Exolizers and the Thorax. So this build right here is kind of rough on Void Cascade. That's why I made a separate version. This version has Corrosive Projection with Pillage, so that we only need 328 strength to full strip, which is why you will need 2 red Tau Forged for this to work. And then we don't need Molt's Augmented, so we don't have to build up kills. We're just always going to be able to full strip. We have Boreal's Hatred instead, so that we have more efficiency. It's cheaper to cast our abilities. And on top of that, we get shield capacity, because we're not going catalyzing shields. We get all of our survivability from Pillage, refilling our shields. So Boreal's Hatred actually makes it easier because we get a bigger shield gate. We are at 2.4 and the cap is 2.5. If you don't have this, you could go Redirection, which will get you to the cap of 2.5, or primed redirection if you had space. I don't. That would also get you the cap, but I don't think it's necessary for a tenth of a second. I'd rather have the extra 15% ability efficiency. It just makes life easier. Then we have Augur Message instead of Augur Secrets, so we get more duration, so it's easier to keep our 3 and 4 up. And Molt's Efficiency, so it's easy to keep our 3 and 4 up. These do snapshots, so if you cast these at the start of the mission, and they don't ever run out, it doesn't matter if your shields break and you lose the Molt Efficiency buff, it's still going to be affecting your 3 and 4. Like, if you cast this at the start of mission, as long as they never end, it doesn't matter. It'll snapshot everything. Energize as well for energy still. It's mostly the same, just efficiency and Augur Message instead of Augur Secrets and Molt's Augmented, Corrosive Projection instead of Brief Respite, and Briel's Hatred instead of Catalyzing Shields. And I actually find this build much more comfortable as far as survivability. I actually prefer it survivability-wise, I feel like. I might even make it my main build in general, but like still with Augur Secrets instead of Augur Message. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes in further gameplay. So we're actually going to show with this build though, the first one. And let's go over some weapons real quick and companions that pair nicely with her. First of all, Madarai. Madarai is the way to go. Because you snapshot on your 3 and 4, you can cast Sling Strength and keep that strength the whole time they're active, which is nice. Power Transfer for the casting speed because her casting speed is horrible. These two things right here are just very, very nice to have on her. So that's why I prefer Madarai while using her. You can use something else like Vazen for more survivability, but if you don't want Madarai, run whatever you want. Now, Zorus. Holy shit, Zorus is the way to go with her. Zorus is amazing because, well, glaives are amazing. You also can go Dispatch Overdrive, which gives you movement speed, so you're really fast. Also, something that it does not state on rotors well is it increases your movement speed. So you're getting even more movement speed, making you very, very fast. And Zorus is easy to get. You get it for free from a quest. On top of that, it has Forced Electric procs on the Heavy Explosion. Forced Electric procs, meaning you always can get melee influence regardless of what elements you have on your weapon, so we can go viral. And that also means we can proc more electric for our abilities to get higher crit chance. That's very, very strong. Viral here because we'll do more damage to flesh type enemies, which is very important because the damage, we want to get our damage to be as high as possible with our electricity from our 4, right? The big discharges. That's what we want. So we have to Armor Strip, which we have Pillage for, and Viral Application, which we get from Zorus, as well as the other thing which is nice for Viral Application would be Panzer Vulpaphyla. Unfortunately, the Panzer spores from viral quills do not propagate from ability damage, only weapon damage. They might propagate from kills though. I'm actually not sure about that. Let me know in the comments if you know. But if you feel like it's not consistent enough, you can run Gyre instead, though this will only work on enemies close to you. So you'd run Arc Coil, Manifold Bond, and a weapon that has viral on it. I'm not going to go too in depth about that. If you want to know more about it, I suggest watching a video. But Gyre, Manifold Bond, Arc Coil, very strong. I personally prefer Panzer Vulpaphyla. Now, other weapons would be the... Where is it? Where is my hairbrush? Why can I not find it? I must be blind right now. Here it is. The Gamma Core and Carnon. Cyanoid specifically. I actually really like this with Gyre, because you get the big Sucky Suck, Prime Fulmination for a bigger Sucky Suck. You don't need all these Prime mods, just use the normal version if you don't have the Prime version. I actually need to max out Jolt as well. This would be better maxed out. Convulsion and Jolts. We've got Frostbite, Pistol Pestilence, so we can spread more viral, we can suck enemies in, and we can apply more electricity. And it's actually, this does pretty good damage on its own, and I just really like the weapon. Then we also get the Energy Max and Energy Restored from the Entropy effect, which is very nice, just makes life a lot easier. As for primary weapons, a good option would be Amprex. Amprex isn't extremely strong. It's definitely not as strong as it used to be, though it is still a fairly decent weapon. You could run this with Viral Electric, and that would actually be very viable. If I were to go Viral Electric on this, I would probably... Here, let me find the mods. I am struggling to find the mods. We would have this. Malignant Force, you could probably go the dual stat electric mod instead here. I think it's called High Voltage, though I do not have it. So we go Rye Rounds, Malignant Force, and then the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I would actually prefer Dexterity here instead, since I'm using Zorus to kill stuff. Then you can spread more Electric and Viral, and this chains between enemies. Amprex is a very nice option here. And I just really like the Amprex. No one uses it anymore, which is sad, but it's still a very strong weapon. I am not using a crit chance mod on my Gamma Core because we are getting crit chance from our third ability right here. Like I said, it is additive to base, additive to crit chance mods on weapons, so it's 176. That's almost equal to a primed pistol gambit, which is, I believe, 187. And once we have multi augmented built up, this is actually going to be higher than a primed pistol gambit. So these are some interesting weapons I like to pair with it. Anything that applies a lot of electricity and viral is going to be a good option, especially if it does so in an AoE. But these are my 3 favorites to use with Gyre. So I have spent way too long explaining, way longer than I meant to. We are going to go into a mission and actually show her in action. So I'm going to specifically do a Mars Disruption. I don't know that I have it unlocked. I do not. Oh no, I do. Okay, I was gonna say, I could have sworn I had it unlocked. Wasn't sure if I was schizophrenic there for a second. So we're gonna show going in that it can decimate enemies, assuming you can strip their armor. As always, I feel like I say that way too much in all my videos, but that is the case for pretty much everything in the game. That's just the state we're in. If you don't armor strip, you can't do much damage. I actually personally don't have a problem with that. I mean, in endgame, you should have to put more effort into killing stuff instead of just brain dead running around. So I don't think there's a problem with it being that way, though I'm sure some people don't care for it. Now, we are going to use an energy pad. You do not want to cast your 3rd and 4 immediately, not until you have enough energy to cast them both, and not until you can kill enemies right away, lest you have your 3 end, and then you have to wait the 60-second cooldown. So we will now cast our 3, cast our 4, cast our 1 to armor strip as well. I did not tag most of those enemies with that armor strip, but we still killed them quite easily. Your main goal with Gyre is kill, kill, kill. Kill as many enemies as you can. If you're not killing enemies, then you're not going to be able to upkeep your abilities. They do have a cap. I believe the cap is 90 seconds on your 4. No. I guess right now it seems to be 60 seconds. I could have sworn it was higher. And the cap is 60 seconds, I believe, for your 3 ability as well, for the highest duration they can go up to. So you can see that it does some damage if they are armor stripped. The more enemies there are grouped together, the more the electric procs are going to do. You're gonna, whenever you need to, like there's a group of enemies, you always want to pillage. Pillage so that the electricity can do big PP damage. And that's also gonna give you more survivability. If there's a group that you really want to do damage in, then you would pillage either before or after, using your 2 as well to suck them in. And you can use either to shield gate. Now, this is not meant to be showing off damage against a disruptor guy, a demolisher, whatever the hell you want to call it, but I might as well spawn him. I probably could have done a better mission to show that she does big PP damage, but alas, here we are. Oh yeah, I forgot. I can't full strip with this build yet because I don't have multi-augmented built up. That is unfortunate. But you can see the electric procs are quite large. And I have taken this up against enemies up to level 3,000, 3 or 4,000, and it did plenty of damage. Yeah, in this case, if you're fighting demolishers, you don't want to get close to them because, as you can see, it ended my ability, and that has completely screwed me over entirely. I chose a very, very poor mission, honestly, to show this in. I wish I had chosen a better mission. I did not think things through entirely, and I'm too lazy to re-record this. Daddy doesn't have all the time in the world. Sad face. So, yeah, it's okay. If you use it yourself and you do a mission that has high ad density, you can see that it will do some fairly chunky damage, especially if you can actually full strip. So, I know that was a horrible demonstration in video. I'll get better at finding good missions to show specific stuff in the future, since I'm fairly new to making videos and stuff. So now we're just going to quickly show her in the Simulacrum, my favorite place in the world. I live there. And then I'll end the video. So on to the Simulacrum we go. I've been very much enjoying Gyre. I love the look of electricity everywhere. It's very satisfying. And it gives good crowd control as well. So that gives you more survivability as well as your teammates, since it's applying to the enemies rather than yourself as a form of survivability. So she's very good, very good, very good. And I hope to see more Gyres in the future, because no one really plays her anymore, or at least not that I see on console, at the very least. I had to get a drink, I'm dying here. Okay, so I'm actually going to show the Void Cascade version of the build, just so we can full strip in a single cast. I will not have viral applied, and I'm just going to go in. Now, we are going to not be able to kill immediately with all of our abilities not quite up yet. So, as you can see, until you get a kill, well, I mean, I guess Zorus was really doing that there. I did that because I didn't want my ability sent. So now I can show without worrying about my ability sending. A big portion of the damage is from getting kills. When an enemy starts dying to the electric procs, right? Cathode current, when an enemy dies, it does triple the damage on the electric discharge. But when they die. So you can see it does good damage, but once they start dying, there it goes. Now it starts doing some PP damage, big PP damage. The more range you have, the more it chains, because it chains between enemies. So the more range you have, the more damage you have as well. And the more enemies there are, the more damage. And that electric itself, right, the damage itself chains, and it applies electricity, the status effect, which then also chains between the enemies. Now, like I said before, you can also do stuff like applying viral. I'm actually going to charge this up real quick. That actually did some big PP electric procs, even though it wasn't even within the radius. So we'll reset this, and I'm going to show it with the 2. So if you do the 2 and you ragdoll them and suck them all in, it does a lot of damage. It's quite good, quite strong. Now I'll show Gamma Core in its Incarnon, because it's a weapon I quite like here. You do this, just pull them all in, and it's going to completely decimate them. Applies viral, applies electricity procs, does damage on its own. It's a very good weapon. It's an underused weapon as well. Quite good, quite good. And you can also use Amprex, like I said, if you want to do that. You run in, strip them, and then start spreading electric with Amprex, and it also kills stuff itself. Also very, very effective. Extremely effective. And then, like I said, Zorus. I mean, Zorus is pretty broken on its own, so you're just getting more damage on an already broken weapon. So you do that, and, well, you know, melee influence exists. So yeah, Gyre, good, strong, some interesting weapons to pair with her, and what I like as a pet. Not the best Gyre video. There's better ones to watch. Like I said, you should watch Azen Invasion's video, his initial one, or his augment one. He actually has one on that as well. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe like the video and subscribe for more random contents. If you didn't like the video, then dislike, so I know that it was terrible. I honestly don't think this was a great video. I probably could have shown something better. I'm probably going to do a level cap in the future. I know I already said about Ureli, but I got busy with some other stuff. But I'm going to try to do a couple level caps with different frames like Gyre and Ureli and Atlas and Void Cascade, and then I'll post those on my channel when I get them done. Or when I get them done and then I trim them and I deal with uploading them, because sometimes I forget about that. So yeah, look for that in the future. If you, I guess that's it. So adios.